done a small illustration wherein we have seen what is the tax at different levels of income under the old regime and the new regime. And you would see that till the income of 17 lakh 50,000, it is the new regime which is more beneficial, right? Only if you have a housing loan to pay and you're claiming interest on that, can there be a situation where old regime may be better. So, and as I mentioned, the new regime has been made the by default regime, which means that if you want to stick to the old regime, you have to go and opt for the old regime, and you have to do this or you have to opt this every year. And it's not that you opt it once; you have to opt for it every year. So by default, you will be considered to be falling under the new regime. But if you choose to opt for the old regime, then you have to make an election for that before the filing of tax return. So the clear indication is that the government wants people to move to the new regime, right? Some other small changes that the government has done. This is again part of plugging the.
Alok, there's one audience question on the same topic, so I'm inclined to ask that. Deepak asked that, what about tax benefits for food card? I think those Sodexo coupons like, or employer PF and lease car under the new regime.
So lease car is a perquisite. So that remains the same. That remains the same. Food coupon again is a perquisite. That remains the same. What is denied is only deductions.
Right.
What is denied is only deductions. So you claim a deduction for leave travel allowance, you claim a deduction for HRA or children education, hostel allowance and all that, 100 rupees. And those are old deductions which are there. Or professional tax. So in states where there is a professional tax, you claim a deduction for the professional tax that you pay. I think the significant here is HRA and self-occupied house interest.
Right.
These are the two significant payments that people make and claim deduction. So if people have that in their scheme of things, then they should really look to choose between the two regimes.
Right. So the perquisites remain same, is the deductions that are being sort of withdrawn in the new regime.
Correct. So perquisite is an addition to the income. It's not a deduction.
Right.
Yeah. So this anomaly has been corrected in this budget. A lot of people, what they used to do was they used to claim deduction under section 24B on account of housing loan, right? So suppose I have a self-occupied house and I've taken a loan to buy that house and I'm claiming deduction of 2 lakh rupees under 24B and setting it off against my salary income, right? And then 10 years down the line, I go ahead and sell this house, right? So what people used to do was that they used to say that, okay, I had bought this house for 1 CR and I have incurred an interest expense over the last 10 years of another 25 lakhs, right? So my cost of acquisition is 1 crore 25 lakhs. I will take indexation on this, right? And therefore, accordingly, I'll compute my capital gains. So there was a double deduction which was happening or people were claiming. And so this has been put to rest by making an amendment. And they've said that if interest paid on borrowed capital was claimed as a deduction, then that will not be included in the cost of acquisition or improvement for computing capital gains. A small amendment in section 45 5A and 194 IC by government's own admission. This was a miss in section 45 5A, wherein they had only mentioned the word cash and not amount paid by way of check, draft, or any other electronic mode. So some some people were taking a position that if I get uh, uh, any amount in my bank account, then that is not taxable, which was taking things a little too deep, right? So, and though the TDS section did cover both the categories of payments, whether in cash or in a bank account. So this anomaly has been corrected. But the good thing is that this has been corrected prospectively and not retrospectively. Now, this is another significant change, section 54 and 54F. So you may be aware that section 54 gives you an exemption from capital gains if you sell a residential house and you buy another residential house, and the capital gains will be exempt if you invest the entire capital gains into buying a new residential house, right? So there was no limit which was mandated there. So you could have sold a property worth 80 crores, and suppose you have a capital gains of 60 crores because you may have inherited that property from your legal heirs, and you could have gone ahead and invested that 60 crores in buying a huge house, and you could have saved taxes and not paid any taxes on that. And similarly, after 3 years, again, you could have sold that property and again utilized the gains in this manner. So, that was something which was being done. Again, 54F deals with a situation where people sell capital assets other than a residential property, say shares in a company, and then utilize the proceeds to buy a residential house. So in that case, also, if the proceeds are utilized, then also the capital gains which result from the sale of that capital asset of shares in my example will not be taxable, subject to certain conditions that you should not have two houses and all that. So now the government has put a restriction, and it has said that the new house that you buy should not have a value exceeding 10 CR. And if it has, we will ignore the amount exceeding 10 CR and we will tax you on that amount. Right? So the maximum capital gains exemption that one can hope to avail is only 10 CR. Right? And in 54F, there is proportion. Capital gains exemption is on a proportionate basis because the requirement is to invest the sale proceeds of the capital asset and not the capital gains, unlike in section 54.
Alok, in this case, if the capital gain is more than 10 CR and suppose it is 15 CR, so and if 15 CR is invested in a property, is it that the 10 CR will be exempted and the 5 will not be, or the entire 15 will be?
Yeah. So 10 CR will be exempted, and on 5 CR you pay the taxes.
Right. So it has limited the capital gain exemption to 10 CR.
Right.
Even if the cost of the property is more than 10 CR, it will be capped to 10 CR to that.
Absolutely. So there is no restriction that you cannot buy a property exceeding 10 CR. You can always go ahead and buy that. But we will give you exemption limited to 10 CR only.
Sure. There are questions saying, can you please repeat the taxability for inherited property?
So for inherited property, the cost of acquisition is the cost to the previous owner or cost in the hands of the previous owner. And if in case the property was held by the previous owner as on 1/4/2001, then either the cost in the hands of the previous owner or the fair market value or the stamp duty value as on 1/4/2001 of that property. That is the cost of acquisition. Right. Then you index it to today's date and then compute the capital gains by reducing this indexed cost from the sale consideration. So that will be the capital gains. And if you invest this entire capital gains into a new property, and that new property, then you will not be taxed unless the capital gains amount itself is more than 10 CR.
Right.
and the property that you buy is more than 10 CR.
Welcome to Complinity Technologies. Complinity is India's leading governance, risk and compliance software helping companies to manage their compliance, contracts, litigation, legal updates, inter-financial controls and more. Complinity is a one-stop shop for all GRC needs. With our proprietary 12 GRC modules and real-time legal updates on 2,000 plus laws and 24,000 plus compliances. All in an integrated platform that is easy to use with automated alerts and risk management capabilities. Is why compliance managers, general counsels and chief financial officers choose Complinity every time. Join the most innovative and prestigious brands that use Complinity. Automating your compliance management. Request a demo at complinity.com.